In spring of 2021, a report was released indicating a gender gap in the decline in university enrollment for the previous semester. The decline in men's enrollment was double that for women, with an even wider gap in community colleges and among traditional age associate degree-seeking students. The reporting organization, the National Student Clearinghouse, or NSC, is described on its About page as a nonprofit organization and the leading provider of educational reporting, data exchange, verification, and research services. In their report on this revelation, the Washington Post quoted Executive Director of the NSC Research Center, Douglas Shapiro, as stating that if this trend continues over the next few years, it'll reach a point where 2 women will earn a college degree for every man. This gender gap has school officials very concerned. HBR Talk with Hannah Wallen. Some officials are concerned enough to offer affirmative action initiatives for male students, a change college enrollment consultant Jennifer Delahunty calls higher education's dirty little secret. But they're not necessarily all financial aid. One example of this is Baylor University's Males and Moms Communication Campaign, created a few years ago to keep high school boys on track regarding their part in the enrollment process. Various reasons for the gap have been suggested. Quillette, also reporting on the NSC data, pointed out that COVID shutdowns are only partly responsible. Writer Ari David Buff wrote that the trend in male students falling behind goes back to the 1950s and isn't limited to post-secondary education. He pointed out that Harvard economist Richard Mamain has tracked high school graduation rates since the 1970s and concluded that men have essentially stagnated at around 80%, while women continued to rise, today approaching 90%. He also cited a 2016 study by Brown University's Jayanti Owens that found 4- and 5-year-old boys were less likely to learn and more likely to be held back in school than girls for exhibiting similar behavior. Implicit stereotypes, Owen writes, may lead to increased grade retention and disproportionately harsh discipline, such as school suspension or expulsion, which in turn are associated with lower achievement and ultimately attainment. This is something we've discussed as well in reference to the disproportionate impact on boys from the set of policies and procedures referred to as the school-to-prison pipeline. This phenomenon was described in a 2015 report by the National Council on Disability as referring to policies and practices that push our nation's schoolchildren, especially those most at risk, out of classrooms and into the juvenile and criminal justice systems. This pipeline reflects the prioritization of incarceration over education. Another factor described in the Wall Street Journal article was the disconnect male students are seeing between the level of debt they might incur in obtaining a degree and the profit it would garner them in post-education earnings. The writer spoke to 3 different students who had dropped out of their courses of study during the 2020 shutdown and had not gone back. All 3 were working and earning money. All 3 felt they should go to university, but did not want to do so without concrete goals and plans. Meanwhile, neither of the articles mentioned another potentially discouraging factor for male students: the environment created by the influence of gender ideology. Male students entering these institutions have to be aware of the financial aid and services that are available only to female students, as well as rules intended to protect feminine sensibilities, female-centered consent training, and the risk of false allegations against male students under Title IX policy. There is also the question of why, in a population of young men who are increasingly going their own way and rejecting traditional marry and join the rat race expectations, the individual has to bury himself in debt to qualify for a job if he can earn enough to cover his own cost of living without a degree. It could very well be that the number of young men whose answer is "we don't" and "I won't" has been significantly growing, unnoticed, for the last decade. I must also point out it's not just indulgence or vanity studies at private and 4-year institutions that are losing men. According to the NCS report, enrollment for courses of study in engineering is down 13.2%, while engineering technologies is down 15.4%, and mechanic and repair technologies is down 18%. Enrollment for construction trades is down 8%, and precision production The manufacture or fashioning of goods and products that require skilled human labor, such as are created by metalworkers, plastics workers, and woodworkers, is down 20.6%. Enrollment in the physical sciences is down 20.5%. Mathematics and statistics are down 13.9%. Do you sense a theme here? The widening gap between male and female enrollment at post-secondary educational institutions is largely accounted for by areas of study within STEM fields and skilled labor fields. But isn't that what feminists wanted? Why are there news articles lamenting this problem? After all, the push for more women in STEM and male-dominated careers would be well served if men just got out of women's way and let them in. Right? Well, not according to another set of recent articles covering an international shortage of skilled labor. Several outlets reported on a trend wherein the number of skilled trade jobs is outpacing the availability of qualified workers to fill them. Glen Falls Business Journal reported that 62% of companies report that they struggle to fill skilled trade labor positions in the wake of a 31 million worker retirement wave in 2020. The article described a high demand for workers and high interest which bottlenecked at the point of training, quoting Dr. Jonathan Ashtown, Dean of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math at Hudson Valley Community College, saying, "There is a tremendous gap in the skilled trade field. Whether you are talking about plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, electricians, advanced manufacture technicians, and even mechatronics technicians, we literally cannot graduate enough students every year." Many other technical educational institutions are reporting an inability to produce a graduating workforce sufficient in numbers to keep up with industry demands in their areas, citing the same combination of baby boomer retirement and either the limits of available programs or lack of interest in these fields among younger generations. BusinessWire.com reported that an analysis by the Skilled Trades Division of staffing leader PeopleReady finds that the most in-demand skilled trade jobs are remaining unfilled the longest, roughly a month on average, due to the shortage of qualified workers. The article noted that this was occurring with listings for plumber and roofer apprentices, carpenter helpers, carpentry apprentices, construction workers, and electrician helpers. Amtrol, an institute that offers education in a variety of technical fields, described a critical shortage of workers with HVAC skills, for which, they have said, there is no quick fix. Along with listing the same issues other sources pointed out, marketing developer David Bolin cited the lack of industrial arts education in the public school system and a need for apprenticeships in the industries to replace that resource. Skillwork.com traces the shortage in skilled laborers back to the 2008 to 2013 recession, when many construction companies had to lay off employees who left the industry for other jobs. The article states that since the growth of the industry returned in 2014, the number of skilled laborers has never caught up. Forbes, citing a study by Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute, reported that due to its difficulties in finding appropriately skilled workers, the manufacturing sector is struggling to meet demand for manufactured goods. Part of this problem can be attributed to a change in the needed skill sets. Instead of a need for workers who can perform hard, technical, and often repetitive tasks, there's an urgent need for workers who can be trained to manage, maintain, and repair robots and other advanced equipment used in the modern automation of these tasks. The article, as with several other sources, suggests a need for more on-the-job training. As I indicated earlier, this problem isn't just limited to the United States. The Canadian Apprenticeship Forum reported upcoming shortages of skilled labor in some construction trades, with bricklayers, boilermakers, and carpenters topping the list, for the same reasons that are causing shortages in the United States, along with additional administrative barriers for applying for apprenticeship or in-school training during the pandemic. According to the Globe and Mail, BuildForce Canada, which provides labor market information and programs for the construction workforce, anticipates a shortfall of nearly 82,000 workers by 2029. One unfortunate trend that may be contributing to the worker shortfall is industry experts thinking they can turn to women and girls to make up the difference. Several articles quoted executives and recruiters stating various admonitions that companies should recruit more girls to training programs and hire more women. However, if we look back at that decline in university enrollment, the details don't paint a picture of a female student body interested in skilled labor or many STEM professions. While many of these areas had dropped significantly in enrollment, the field of psychology has hardly seen any drop at all. Education is only down 4.5%. Public administration and social service is only down 6.4%. Health professionals and related clinical sciences is only down 2.2%. The female-dominated new student body simply has different priorities, making it unlikely that they are going to be attracted to skilled labor professions. If that is the case, recruiting women is not going to even begin to address that labor shortage, much less contribute to solving it. How long will it take administrators in this traditionally male-dominated spectrum of fields to realize that feminism is not the solution to their staffing challenges? Only time will tell. In the meantime, HBR Talk will use this week's live stream to explore the issue from another angle. What does post-secondary education currently have to offer young men, and what can you do to best use those opportunities to your advantage? How could a prolonged skilled labor shortage affect our society, and more specifically, men? The discussion streams on multiple platforms. You can tune in to the YouTube live stream or find other listening options on HoneyBadgerBrigade.com.